in our main topic.
Yes.
After, let's see, almost 2 hours.
Oh gosh. We got to work on this.
Bringing your gaming world to life. No, we're
Mhm.
not talking about having a summoning ritual where you're actually trying to bring it to
No,
life.
we're not pulling Doctor Strange stuff here.
No. We're talking about sparking interest, longevity, and enjoyment at the table in your campaign.
Yep.
And since I'm mostly a player, I'll take the first section.
Yeah, I want you to do the player side, and you can, adjust or make comments as you see fit.
So, yes. So for players, some ideas.
Mhm.
Gather people who can commit and want to play the game you are running.
Yep.
So this is actually a DM thing. So naughty.
Well, it's kind of a group thing, so fair enough. Fair enough.
Right. Decide
Well,
on the day and time and get a quorum. So from the player's end, you need to commit.
yes.
Yes. Let
So
the
play on.
players.
Well, I got, you want to go ahead.
I was just going to go through them right quick.
You're going to read them. Okay, sure.
Let them play what they want within the framework of the world. So not quite a full-on conductor, but you do have some rails.
Yeah.
Share and the players have to buy in to the framework and play within it.
Correct.
Right.
If you're like, in this world, all the dwarves were killed in the Second Age. Can I play a dwarf that survived? Okay, in this world, all the dwarves were killed in the Second Age, and all we has is remnants of their civilizations. Well, I was thinking I like to play a dwarf who man. Okay, let me say it again. Sometimes you get that players just like, dude, that's what I said. You didn't want to do session 0. You're playing Randy's game. Shut up, no dwarves.
Right. Share spotlight time. So from the player's point of view, you've got to give and take with your fellow players to give them spotlight time.
Mm-hmm.
But right, and from the DM's point of view, you're giving them spotlight time.
Can I pause you? So
yeah.
I think because if you look at it, you can say this is all from the DM's play, but my point was things you need to consider about the players. I wasn't thinking like this is what the players should consider, but I'm glad you're saying that.
Yeah.
It's like player stuff and then versus DM stuff.
Right.
What I think of that is, and it's probably all more heavily with the DM, but you're absolutely right. Players have a role in all this.
Well, it's if the DM is primarily making the world, then the DM is primarily responsible for bringing it to life.
Yeah.
In conjunction with the players, engaging with what you're presenting as the DM.
Yeah.
Watch to see what is most interesting to each player. Yeah. And, the player has to show interest for a DM to actually be able to pick up on. If you're a wallflower, it's going to be hard for the DM.
Or I mean, if you had a whole group of wallflowers, I'm not sure what you would do. I will say this: I've had wallflowers that are not a problem. They're there to roll dice and watch what unfolds.
Right.
They care very little what their character does to affect it.
Right.
And you know what? They're fine, but they're telling me something as a player. They're saying, Randy, don't worry about spotlighting me. I don't have any special motivation. My motivation is I'm a barbarian. I like to kick ass and take names. That's my motivation.
Right.
The rest of it is I want to see. And they're enjoying themselves. You can be a wallflower and be engaged.
Right.
You can just sit back and go, God, this is so cool. Look what they're doing. Oh, I bet Joe's not going to like this. And you ain't got to be a part. And you're getting enjoyment and hanging out with your friends. So you need to recognize that as both a DM and another player. Sometimes players will push those players. Hey, what do you think? I don't care. Let's do what the group wants to do. That's usually the response you get from a wallflower.
Yeah. Make the PCs the stars of the game and let their decisions matter. Well, to some degree, yeah.
Right. I'm with you. I was going to
stars of the game at the table, but not necessarily stars of the world.
Right. Meaning don't tell stories where they're watching some NPC do cool stuff. Right. And they're just holding they're holding their train to their dress. Oh yes, you are so wonderful. Yeah. Right. I don't mean like make it all about those characters and everybody worships them. And Joe's wizard is first level, but everybody thinks he's the chosen one right from the beginning. And every wizard hands him spell books left and right. No, I'm not talking about that.
I've played a lot of video games that do that. You just graduate wizard school, and everybody's like looking at you. That's how the text will roll on the screen or whatever.
Yeah.
When you talk to somebody, oh, we were so proud of you and you graduated wizard school. We're looking for you to do big things. I'm like,
Yeah.
That's dumb.
Yeah. And like, because what I'm saying is let their decisions matter. I mean, if a decision was made last night in Mudsword that affects the campaign.
Ah,
The group did something and it matters and there will be consequences. And they had an interesting choice and they made certain choices and it will have consequences. And some good, probably bad. And so, but definitely interesting. So had they not done what they did, it would have been a different result. So,
cool.
yep.
So you got the other section?
Yeah. So now, granted, you could argue that Joe's stuff was, like I said, it was about the players. Now, about what the DM's doing behind the scene, I would say create, and this is important for me. Maybe I do this a lot. I try to do this. Create cool, and I said hateable villains.
That's really important.
And let the PCs and give them a chance and make them want to kill those dudes or dudettes. Whatever your villain is, make him villainous. I don't want him to be too likable. Or if he is, he might have a Magneto quality that you understand the way he is, but you can't respect what he's doing. All the children picked on him when he was young. I mean, horribly, did just wicked things to him, things that hurt him physically, things that hurt him mentally. And so now he hunts children and uses them in experiments. I mean, I get that sucks that happened to you, but you don't need to do that to all the kids just because kids were mean to you. Create interesting and exotic locations. Make sure the PCs get to experience it. So if I'm going to create, which I never did this, and Greyhawk Joe will remember the dim forest?
The dim forest, yes.
Yeah. In my Greyhawk campaign, that was like the most dangerous. Everybody talked about how dangerous it was, and the mage of the valley hid within a valley deep within the dim forest. And I think you guys went there once or twice, but man, whenever they got to go, my players were like, they were completely on alert, because I would throw like really crazy monsters at them left and right. And they're like, this place is super dangerous. And so it's exotic. Why are all these monsters here? And I'm not sure we ever got to find out why. So you didn't really get to experience the why truly. The thing was, the mage of the valley in my campaign was constantly open portals. He was summoning creatures there because he did not want to be bothered. I mean, he was like a super high level, 20th level wizard. And so he could protect himself and the valley elves, elves of the valley. That's what we used to call them, the valley elves. But he had magic that kept them away from his little town. But the rest of the forest was just teeming with horrid beasts. And he tended to summon less intelligent creatures because he didn't want them setting up machinations against him.
Right.
But you could walk in this forest and you could run into a T-Rex, and then you could go a little bit further and you can run into a Garistro demon, which is a big colossal demon. You're like, what is that doing in this forest? And it's just bounding around, attacking these antelopes, and like sees you, goes, oh, you look tastier, And so, I remember I told the players, I was like, look, you go in there, I don't care what level you are. You're going to see some, if you decide to go at third level, okay, but I'm not taking the Greastro off the table.
Right.
Right. But I mean, that's not terribly exotic, but it's at least an interesting place.
Sure.
And so let the players have a chance. You guys had a chance to go there. You often decided not to.
Often.
I would say create memorable NPCs that players get attached to, and then kill them. I think, and what I mean by that is, and kill them in quotations. I mean, do something bad to them. Make someone, a really cool, like you guys meet a halfling guy. He's a thief, but he's not a bad guy, and he helps you guys out. He does something. He gets you the key that will help you get into the locked mausoleum where the vampire lairs, and he does it just out of the kindness of his heart. So he's a thief with a heart of gold. He's always helping you guys out. He's not powerful, but you guys kind of, you're like, oh man, we like this little guy. And the next thing you know, you're like, no one's seen so-and-so at the Silverfish Inn. Like, he's always hanging out there. Why is he not there? And so the players will you don't have to do anything. It's like, as soon as you say that, like, what? How come little Tommy's not around anymore? Some players, like, we need to find out what's wrong with this guy. Because we need to find out what happened to him. He's been our buddy. So you got to do stuff like that. Now, you could kill him, but it's much better if they can rescue him, or maybe something's happened to him. Maybe all of a sudden he's doing evil stuff. He's been, dominated by some wizard. I think this is a big one. And I don't think since the third edition era.
Mhm.
I don't think WotC does this. I don't think Paizo does this. And I'm sure people can call in and counter it. They don't create challenging opponents, quote unquote monsters, and play them as they should be. Take the kid gloves off. And I'm not saying you have to cheat to let the player, you don't cheat to beat the players, but if you're playing a 25th level Archmage who's lived for eons, and the players just roll up and decide to fight him in his keep and don't really prepare themselves, he's going to have contingencies. He's going to have fail-safe plans. He's going to have monsters prepared, and he's going to, if they've been a thorn in his side, he's going to put a hurting on them.
Oh yeah.
Don't be afraid to cast Disintegrate, to call back to last week.
Right.
Don't be afraid. He's going to do it. And and I'm sorry, you failed your save, guess what? You're dead. What? Well, yeah, dude, he's scary, and you knew that. I think you have to let him know a little bit beforehand. Every so often, try to surprise him, especially your Joes and your Phillips, your experienced and jaded players. Little Miss Lady Marion that come to talk. Oh, she's being all sultry. She's Jessica Rabbit. She's not bad. She's just drawn that way.
Yeah.
And so she looks super sexy, but she ain't trying to, and she's not lying. She ain't on the Western Front trying to steal your people. She just needs some help because the Orcish army is coming after her on the other side, and you're fighting, the hobgoblins to the east. So can I have a few of your dudes, and I need a little extra help. And she's really not what she appears to be. And I'm going to make her look really suspicious because she doesn't trust Butch. She doesn't know him. So maybe she naturally puts on a little charm, puts on a little airs, and Joe's like, ooh, you're up to something. Maybe she whispers to her confidant who's there, to her seneschal, periodically making Joe think, oh, she's up to something. She's like, yeah, I would like fries with that. And so, and Joe's like, in the end, like, oh, she's a pretty good. And then he finds out later on, after he finally gives in, she's a devout follower of, Paylor, and she's lawful good. And Joe's like, what? I'm like, well, she didn't do anything evil. And you're like, oh, good point. But she was acting all shady. It's because she didn't trust you. Your name is Butch, short for butcher.
Yes.
She thought maybe you were evil.
Well, to be honest, I always wait for the shoe to fall.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying but that's something you got to, or you have a devil that shows up and he's actually neutral good. That would surprise your players.
That would surprise me, and I would never believe he wasn't evil.
I know.
Ever.
I know. No matter what I did, no matter what happened. No, he's playing the long game.
It's a matter of time, man. They live thousands of years.
Yeah. Your character's on his deathbed. I still don't believe he's good.
No, you didn't. You're a liar.
Yeah. So I would also make sure any rules changes, if you do any, especially as a DM, they're stated up front. And I would say be flexible. And by that, I mean both the DM and the player. So if I decide I don't like counterspelling, I'm ditching it initially.
Uh-huh.
Or I'm not going to run it the way the book does. Even if you're like, Randy's ideas sound dumb. Look, let's play with it. And I need to be flexible. Like, look, after I see it in play, I might agree with you. That was a good idea in theory. Joe was right. It was a poop idea. It totally nerfed the wizard. Not a good idea. Can we come up with something better? Or Joe goes, oh my God, my build is completely ruined. I can't believe I was going to be a counterspelling god. And I'm like, just play it out. And in the end, you might be a counterspelling demigod. It's not that bad.
Right. Well, and there's the thing. Yes, the DM there's a lot of good things that the DM can do to breathe life into their campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And make rule changes up front and all of that. But the players to level with the DM as well. The players need to be willing to say, hey, this is where I'm going with this character. If it's not kind of a standard, I just have a sword and shield and I go and kick butt. If you're doing something non-standard or weird, or we can tell as players when this is going to be an extremely big advantage once we get a couple of levels in and a couple of things kind of fall in place. We know that there's going to be a huge advantage. It's kind of like exploiting a video game. It's kind of the same thing. If you know that's kind of the way it's going to go, you should be upfront with that. And I try to do that with Randy.
Yeah, you're actually one of my better players for that.
I'm like, hey, I got this spell and I got these other 3 things, and this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, most of your monsters are going to die in the first round.
Yeah.
So just want you to know that.
Just want you to know.
It's a will save, DC 46. We're playing third edition, and I'm a second level wizard, so most things will die. But I mean, yeah, I mean, especially in a game like third edition where you can tweak. I mean, now, I guess for me now, I really appreciate that when you would do that. I had some players that would drop the surprise on me, which that's not the end of the world if you do it once. If you go, look, I have damage shield from Arcana Evolved by Monty Cook. Okay, that sounds good. And you're like, wham. I'm like, whoa. Well, I told you I had it. And I'm like, okay, so you do realize, yeah, it's awesome. You know, be willing to realize, you know, once you surprise me and you get away with it, and you're like, I'm be like, okay, we need to both look at this and watch this. And if you're winning every fight because of damage shield, and there's nothing that works, or at least nothing reasonable that works,
Right.
like, well, you could do this one thing and have these series of feats, and then it wouldn't be as good. Okay, so everything has to have that now to get past damage shield. Yeah, pretty much. Damage shield's probably too good.
Yeah.
I mean, not that spell was all that. It was good, but you know, I think it was called damage shield.
Yeah, it essentially gave you extra hit points that were relative, you know, like regular hit points. And once you lost them, you lost them.
It was really good, but I mean, yeah, it wasn't like impossible. I mean, you know, big creatures could knock that down pretty fast.
Yeah. One hit usually.
Yeah, critical be like, yeah, damage shield gone, and I took 10 damage. Oh, poop.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are just a quick list. Any of those things strike you as particularly really important? I mean, to make the world
make a villain's hateable.
Yep.
They're a villain, they might as well be hateable. And I know there's one, Beauregard.
Highgarden, yeah.
Highgarden.
You still need to get your vengeance, lay your vengeance upon him.
Yes, it's very much a loose end that we never solved.
And like I said, I keep saying I'm going to do it, and I'm not going to say no, because I want to put a bow on that long campaign of Elysium.
Beauregard.
Yeah, put a bow. We started at Cabin Con. Our buddy Philip developed the world further, and we got this Elysium campaign. Then it transitioned to characters had to escape, the world was destroyed, and now there's some characters still running around the multiverse, and Beauregard was one of the NPCs that got away, and Joe's character Butch has a real hate on for that guy, and with just reason. I mean, Beauregard, he did you guys dirty multiple times.
Oh yeah,
a couple times you guys didn't even know about. He was behind a lot of stuff. So
yeah, he did. And the icing on the cake was that very last thing he did. I was like, I'm gonna stick my sword all the way through you.
yeah, he's not terribly kind. And he started off with a bang by releasing that Banshee on you guys when you were like 9th or 8th level. And lower than that, it killed half of your stable. It was pretty bad.
Now, did we figure out that he did that?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if your characters know that, but the players did, because you know, we're like, well, because maybe not, because it goes all the way. He was the one that sent you on that adventure to get that. Remember, there was a little cube, a little box that was stuck in that wall way back when. I think Butch's first adventure.
Yes.
And there was that box that was a magical box was stuck, and you guys managed to get it out.
Yes.
And it opened a portal, but you guys shut it. And you thought, oh, cool. And I was like, there's a lot of magic in here. And then your little stable master dwarf guy was like, yeah, this is powerful, and I'm studying it. And that was all a setup.
Oh, it was a setup.
And
yeah.
He wanted the stable master guy to get it so he could be killed. He thought your stable would fall into disarray, and then he would swoop in and save you and take over. That was his plan.
Yeah. We elected a new stable.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, Red became the new stable master. Though my character Penty came really close.
Yes, it was close.
In his mind. He was cheated. All right. Anything else that was I think one thing that's tough that I wish players would do more, and I don't think I made this clear, says watch to see what is most interesting to each player. I wish players would watch other players sometimes and say, look, he likes this. Let me push for something, not all the time, but like, you know, I noticed that Debbie, my wife, Debbie likes, you know, Joe's like, I noticed Debbie likes to look under every nook and cranny. And here's a library. And she's like, oh, I look over here and like, yeah. And you're like, yeah, let's toss the room. Let's check this whole thing out. I don't trust this. And just do it so Debbie can feel, oh, cool. We're checking this crap out. I get to find everything. Let's go. We still haven't looked back, see if there's a secret door. And like, Joe, yeah, we should. We absolutely good idea. Instead of like, come on, let's go to the next room. There's nothing here. That sort of thing. Not all the time, but sometimes,
Throw a bone.
Yeah, throw them a bone. Even as another player, you can do that. Because you can sometimes get a little bit, not you, but a player can be like, I'm just worried about me getting my fun, cool stuff, and someone's like, I really want to show everybody how good I am at diplomacy. You have a chance to talk with this ruler. Oh, he's evil. Forget it. Let's go. Okay, let's give the cleric a chance to chat him up.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's
good. Yeah, players should work together like that.
Yeah.
Idea.
What do you think about number 4 on the DM list, creating the challenging opponents?
Oh yeah, like I was saying, what you were saying about 5th edition.
Yeah.
The game itself isn't too challenging.
I don't think so.
And not from my experience. Granted, it's small, but it seems like it's a common enough perception that the players have lots of ability to win.
Yeah.
And the monsters don't present a particular challenge in general. There's probably some exceptions, and there's what things that the DM can and should do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice to be able to flex now and again, but if it's all of it, you're like, okay, I guess, but you do want a challenge.
Oh, it's a dragon, and we kill it in 2 rounds. Well, that wasn't very interesting.
Right.
It sounded good on paper, but no, he wasn't that tough. It was CR appropriate. I mean, but that comes now, to be fair, with 3rd edition, once it got long in the tooth, I mean, I'd already figured out the CR system was really just, even if you tried to follow it, you couldn't trust it. And they said it was more of an art than a science. There were plenty of creatures that would be like a CR4 that if you put them against a 4th level party, they're in for a world of hurt. Or they could be a CR6, like my party will kick the crap out of that. I mean, the fighter alone will kill that thing. So I think as a DM, it's to make that happen. Sometimes if you want to try to play within a system where appropriate challenges, you have to know when to break the rules and to let things be a little bit tougher than they would suggest. And that takes time. That can't be fixed quickly. Anything else that stands out or something different? I'm trying to see what really stands out to me.
Oh, well, I mean, the stuff that matters, I mean, the stuff that that I pay attention to when I'm a player, we've already talked about a lot, having memorable and hateable villains and being challenged at the table and encouraging your party members to do their thing. Those are all important.
Those are big. I think that makes the game, well, it's not just but to bring the world to life. I think the DM has to create those exotic locations, good PCs, bring challenges. Then you feel like it's, I mean, if you want your world to be an adventurous, exciting, dangerous place, then you got to do those things. I think sometimes as a DM, I find myself going down, like even last night, I get into like kind of role playing a character, and I can catch myself going down a rabbit hole, kind of explaining or letting a character, vicariously live through a character and say, oh, because of this, blah, blah, blah. And you ask a question, well, this is because of this thing. I mentioned something about some side comment that this waitress lady had experienced. And I went down a path, and I could kind of think, this is kind of cool to me. To the characters are like, and this is relevant because
right.
And that's part, I want to show off my creation.
Right.
That doesn't make it, I don't think that fully makes it vibrant, because to a player like, okay, that's cool. So you have these blue plants that people can turn into a tobacco type product.
The better way, I think, is there's a phrase, show rather than tell. So instead of having an NPC, have exposition, you say, hey, can you find this stuff? Or I heard these plants are interesting over here. And then they find out through going and gathering them and doing stuff that what the interesting thing is.
You gather the plants, and then you come back to town and you see a dwarf walking along, and he's smoking a pipe and his lips are blue. And you're like, what's going on? And you're like, that's a weird smoke. And he goes, yeah, I'm smoking that stuff we just got. Yeah, it's great for pipe weed. Wow, okay, that's interesting. But yeah, and I can be guilty of exposition. I think that's the teacher in me. I want to explain all the time, and I think the world comes alive more when you show and don't know. Yeah. Anything else you could think of?
No, that's good, pretty good.
That's a weirdly short main topic, but I figured we'd need it. I knew we had a lot to say.
Yeah, and we had a weirdly long previous segment that makes this seem short by comparison.
Yeah, yeah, sure.